Hey basketball coaches and basketball players, today I'm going to give you some beginner 3-out, 2-in basketball plays. All of these plays can be ran against a man-to-man and a zone defense. So let's get down to the clipboard, let's check these out. I know you're going to absolutely love them. So in this first play, and you're probably wondering, why do I have smaller players in the low block and our bigger players out on the wing? You're going to see right now why this is important. So we're going to be having a screen down for player 2 and player 5 setting a screen down for player 3. Now, once they have screened down, what you're hoping for is for one of those two defenders to switch off. If that's the case, let's say player 2 got through, but player 5 got switched off. That is the side where you want to isolate the low post. So you're going to have a pass over to player 3. Player 3 is going to pass down to player 5. Player 4 is going to then empty the key. And you're going to then have player 5 go one-on-one against a shorter player. This is very similar to a play that we ran back when I was a player in grades 7 and 8, where we would have a box offense and we would have our bigger players up top setting a screen down for the lower players so that we could get some mismatches. Now, if they're running a 2-3 zone, they're going to be most likely trapping up top because that is a trap location. Now, that's going to bring up these wing players, and you're going to be isolating player 5 red down in the low block. So what we're going to be having here is a screen down for these wing defenders. So a screen down for player 3 and a screen down for player 4. Now, what we're going to see off of this, instead of going out towards the wings, we want these players to pop up towards the high post. This is important. If you're running up against a zone defense, you want to go to the high post instead of the wing. This is when making your players understand what a zone defense is and what a man-to-man defense is, for them to be able to see this right off the bat and be able to now negotiate how to score on this offense or on this defense. So player 3 and player 4 are going to be going up towards the high post. Whichever one of those two players is open, player 1 is going to pass to that player. Either way, player 5 is going to be rolling off of that screen, and same as player 2 in this case. Now, player 4 has an option. He can pass down to player 2, he can take that shot. That's two options right there. Now, what I want to see happen is if player 2 red goes down and defends player 4, and we have player 5 moving over and player 3 moving over, which is what we should see, what I want to see happen is player 1 setting a screen up top and player 3 using that screen. Player 4 is going to pass over to player 3, and he can take that shot. Now, if this is a beginner team, you may not be able to shoot a 3-point shot. That's totally okay. The reason why this is totally okay is if you have this player, player 3, having the ability to at least get that ball to hit that rim, you now have 3 offensive rebounding players who can get that rebound versus 2 defensive players. And this is a major reason why I don't focus on plays all that much with younger age groups. I always focus on being able to handle the ball because that's important to get the ball down court, but also shooting ability, shooting drills, shooting skills, because that is a huge portion in basketball, especially if you want to stretch out a zone defense. And now that there's more and more younger teams allowed to play a zone defense, you really want to stretch that zone defense out so that you can be able to beat them with a shot. Now, I personally really like to run simple offenses like these, but also a 5-out motion to spread out the offense and spread out the defense so that the offense can learn how to beat with read and react. Let's get down to a few more plays, however. So we're going back to a man-to-man defense, but what we're going to have here is player 2 setting a back screen on player 5, and player 3 is going to be going over towards this low post to set up a staggered screen for player 5. Meanwhile, we're going to have player 4 set a screen for player 1, and player 1 is going to use that screen. Now, player 1 could take a mid-range or a 3-point shot. That's totally an option, but we will have player 5 heading out towards that low post. Now, what we're going to see here is player 1 may have an option to pass down to player 5 for a nice layup. If that's not the case, and let's say player 3 switched off, we could still get that ball down to player 5, and that is a mismatch. But we want to see now player 3, what we want him to be doing is to be boxing out player 5 if they were to switch. Now the reason why we want to box out player 5 is because now if player 3 is unable to score, player 3 can be in position to hit a nice easy layup, and all player 5 would be able to do is to try and reach over player 3's back. Now this does work really well against a 2-3 zone as well, and a 2-3 zone tends to be a really popular zone defense, but I'll show you this against a 3-2 as well. And what we're going to see here, same thing as before, player 4 setting that screen, player 3 setting a screen here, and now we're going to see player 2 setting a screen on player 5. We're going to have player 1 move over, that's going to draw player 3 up, and player 5 is going to be heading towards this low block. Player 1 is going to pass down to player 5, who can hopefully have that easy layup. If he doesn't, and player 5 red pops through, we're going to keep player 2 in the middle this time so that he can have a nice easy shot from the middle of the key. Now against the 3-2 zone, which is a really smart option for a coach to run against a 3-out 2-in offense, what we're going to see is still player 5 setting that screen, still player 3 setting that screen up top, and player 2 setting a screen over here. However, what I want to see happen, instead of player 4 going towards this low post, I want to see him cut across towards the high post. Now there's a really good reason for this. And this is when you really want to have players who can understand what type of defense they're playing up against. And this is because now you can have player 1 pass into player 4, and now that's going to draw player 5 up. If player 2 set that screen right and was able to seal player 4 behind him, now that should be an easy basket for player 2 in the low post. We can do a high to low pass, which is what really destroys a zone defense. So if you find yourself playing up against a lot of zone defenses, if you're a coach playing with or coaching a younger team, or even just a beginner team, a really good example is to have your players, 5 or 6 players in practice, to say, hey, set up in a 2-3. This is what a 2-3 zone looks like. This is what a 3-2 zone looks like. And now, when you are able to explain to your players, this is what a zone defense looks like, and this is what you should do when a zone is present. If you're playing up against a man-to-man, you're going to hear them probably calling out, hey, I got number 11. Hey, I got number 16. Whatever it may be. That is definitely 100% a man-to-man defense, unless they're trying to trick you. So it's really good to, even though there's a lot of coaches that say just drills, that's all you can teach them, I like to also teach them court skills, which is understanding what they're playing up against. And I hope that this information has kind of helped you as well. Let's get down to one more beginner 3-out 2-in play I know you're going to absolutely love. So this next play is playing off the whole screen and roll offense that we continuously see at the NBA level. So we're going to see player 2 and player 3. They're going to be setting a screen up top for player 1. Player 5 is going to be moving down towards the low corner, and same as player 4. So what this is going to do is now open up a screen and roll with player 1. Now, the idea behind this is now player 1 is going to come off of that screen. He could drive towards the basket or pop out towards the mid-range or three-point line area. He could take that shot, or he could drive right towards the rim and go in for the layup. Now, if they switch and player 3 is now the player who's rolling towards the basket, that could be an option as well. If they don't switch and player 3 still rolls, he could still be an option in that low block when he's rolling for player 1 to hit up. But also, when player 3 gets that ball, if he draws player 4 down, he could kick it out to player 4 for a three-point shot. That is one option. Player 5 may pop over to play help defense, and he could kick it out to player 5 blue, who could take a three-point shot, or player 5 may be able to see that happening and cut baseline as well. So there's a couple of different options here. But also, whether or not there was that screen and roll, if player 1 just decided to drive and he was going in for the layup and player 4 came down, player 1 can pass out to player 4, or if player 5 came across, he could kick out to player 5 unless player 5 was also cutting towards the basket. Now against a 3-2 zone defense, this also works against any zone defense. If we have these players popping up top, that's going to be stretching out that defense. Player 5 and 4 are going to be popping down. Now where they're going to be popping back down and guarding that baseline, player 1 is going to then attack the rim. Now we're attacking a gap. The idea behind this one is we're going to be pulling in that defender. If we get deep enough, we could be pulling up player 4, which now opens up that whole baseline for player 4 to either take a three-point shot, a mid-range shot, or to drive right towards the basket, and player 1 could dump off the ball to him. I hope that these plays help your team win more games. Now, really quickly, if you are interested in recipes for smoothies pre-game and post-game workouts, definitely go check out my cooking channel, Coach Allen Recipes. And if you're a player interested in NBA 2K or interested in just racing, check out my gaming channel, Coach Allen Gaming. And I'll see you guys in my next video.